Letter of references times 3. I'm assuming the majority of people here are presently working.
Pardon me?
Letter of references times 3 is being requested.
We want 3 reference contacts, 3 names of contacts that we can contact to get a reference on you. We ask for your most recent employer. So whether you're currently working or you just left the workforce, whatever either your current employer or your most recent employer, and then 2 other references of your choice. Keep in mind that when we're doing a reference check, we're basically asking for confirmation of those things that you've told us in the interview, and they are related to the qualification. So if one of the qualifications is conflict resolution skills, we're going to be asking somebody, can you tell me about Rosanna's conflict resolution skills on the job? So when you give a reference, if you give your next door neighbor and they don't know anything about your conflict resolution skills, it's not a very helpful reference.
Although they may.
Well, they may.
You may have really good.
That might not be the reference for you.
Question over here.
Yes, in your description it says there's times when you have to go to the job site for inspect. Is there out of town like much time away from the city? Or?
Okay, the question is that in the job description it mentions that there may be times where you have to go out of the office. That is not the case with these positions. That's a general job description, and our officers work in the office. You will not be going out of the office to accompany people. This is a unique situation where the staff are here today. There have been some occasions where we've done some training. Monique did some training recently where she had to go to Sudbury and Toronto. For the most part, your day-to-day, you can expect to be daily, every day, 8 to 4:30 or 8:30 to 5 or whatever, at your cubicle. You're going to be working at your cubicle. When the new hires are hired, they will be doing their training. It will not be in our office. We don't have room, but it will be off-site, so you can expect to report there every day for the training. But other than that, it's in the office. Very rarely will staff be going out of town or out of the office. And it is, as John said, cubicle world, but nice cubicles.
Just wondering if there's any officers that are on contract now, doing these positions that might be going from contract to permanent.
There probably will be. There are some staff on contract, and the positions that are posting now, they're welcome to apply. I can't really. What am I going to tell you? I can't. I don't know for sure if they're applying. They're welcome to. There are more positions available, certainly, than what I have staff on contract right now. Well, more. We're advertising a minimum of 9 positions. There may even be more than that. So there's certainly lots of positions. I'm hoping to tap out the market locally of skills.
Question at the back first.
I think the concern was, are they going to be given preference?
They're treated, they're scored. Their application, I think John mentioned it, your application, it's a very, very fair recruitment process. Fair to everybody. In some ways, the existing staff think it's unfair that they should get preference. If they submit an application and it does not get scored in, they do not get interviewed. And in the interview process, if they don't meet this, there's a cutoff score in the interview process. And at which point we decide we will not make a job offer to anybody that scores below a certain point. And anybody above that point, it's based on scores. The best person gets the first job offer, etc. If the staff don't get scored in, they don't get an interview, and if they don't pass, if they don't do well in the interview, they don't get offered a job. It's that cut and dry.
There's a question here.
I was going to ask about probationary period. Is there a standard probationary period for the
In the OPS, it's a 9-month probationary period for any newcomers to the OPS. If you have history already, if you're currently a member of the OPS, depends on your status. That part of that could be taken into consideration.
There was a question at the back. Yes?
Is there a potential for a pool for future staff?
There's a problem with that. I would like to think that there is, and the problem is that we can't put anyone to work on the job unless they've had the 6 weeks of training, and we're only going to make the training available to successful candidates. So That's why we typically recruit in batches, so that we can make it worthwhile to do the training for, you know, a number of people. And after that, I just have to, if I have vacancies, I have to ride them out until such time as we're hiring enough people to make the training worthwhile again. So no, I'm not. The answer is probably no. There will not be a pool of people that we can draw on. Not for the officer positions. When we recruit the clerical positions, that'd be different.
Yes, I'm from a plant closure, so I'm attempting to try and keep management in my reference, but they're moving all over the place too. Back home they have, and I've also moved like since from Windsor area. So we have an action center that was put up through the CAW. Would those people be considered, like they're co-chairs of the union and people like that, would they be considered usable for references? Or
can they attest to your skills? Can they attest to your work on the job? Can they attest to your ability to adapt, to learn, to do all those pieces that we're going to be asking? That's what we're looking for. So if your immediate manager has disappeared, moved to the Bahamas or whatever, I would be looking for your supervisor, somebody who was in a role that can, you know, maybe then you'd have to draw back on your last job before that.
It closed
Do you,
too.
yeah. You have to, you know, use your best resources to see what you can come up with. People, we have to get a reference on you. It's required in the government. I'm not going to hire you without positive reference checks. And so you have to be able to give us the names of people who can attest to those skills.
Well, I do have one management, but I'm just looking, if you're looking for three, I'm looking for.
One has to be, we ask, the one is your most current or recent manager. The other ones, I'm leaving it at your discretion.
Okay, good enough.
Was there a question over here? No? Was I the manager again? You have a comment?
Comment question.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that at the last job fair that we came, the information session from 2 years ago, one of the concerns was the math. I'm not a math person. I'm able to do the job. If I can do it, you can do it. That's for sure. Our purpose isn't to intimidate anybody, but there are some basic math skills that are required. And I'm just giving you like 3 of the simplest examples, but really this is what we apply. It gets more complex because the audit is bigger, but the math remains the same. And so we do a lot of vacation pay. You know how much vacation pay is owed. So the math skill there, the requirement is to be able to multiply a figure, whether gross net, multiply a figure by a percentage, 4%. So if they make $10, and that's all they make in their career, and they're entitled to vacation pay, it would be $10 times 4%. A quick tip for all of you is 1.04, and you get the answer right away. It saves you a step. So it's as simple as that. That would be vacation pay assessments. A small example of that. You have to be able to get an average. When we're determining termination pay and it's not a regular work week, we have to go back 12 work weeks, add up the gross pay of the 12, and then figure out what the average is. Even if you've never done that in your life, how many of you have had exams? You go back and you're like, oh my God, I got to figure out what my average is. I want to get that 4.0. And so you got 96%, and then then you got 95%, and you got 90%. So you have 3 exams, and that's what you got. So you add up the 3, and that adds up to 281. You divide by 3, and that gives you 94%. So it's that kind of math that you would require for termination pay. And then just one other example is overtime pay. If you ask enough questions, I'm going to be paid overtime pay. So if I make $10 an hour, and I'm into an overtime situation, how much overtime pay am I going to get? Who said $15? And why would that be, sir? Because of what?
Time and a half.
Time and a half. So you just take that regular rate times 1.5, and that gives you an overtime rate. So this is the type of math that we are using.